In this video, we are going to go ahead and take a look at the new structured logging features available in Spring Boot. This is going to be in the 3.4.0 release of Spring Boot, brand new feature as of that release. And I'm going to come in here and let's create a brand new project. I'm going to say new project, and I'll come down here to create a new Spring Boot project. I call it structured logging, like so. And Java, I am going to go ahead and use Maven for that. That looks okay. And let's go ahead and do Java 21. I like to be on the latest LTS release. And important tip, if you're on a Mac M series, be sure that you have a JVM that supports the ARM architecture much faster as far as execution times. So I'm going to come in here and let's go ahead. I always love using Spring Project Lombok. And we don't really need it, but I'm going to go ahead and include Spring Web, and I think that's all we're going to need for that. And let me go back. Oh, here we go. We want to make sure that we are on the 3.4. So right now, 3.4.0 is to be released probably about a week from when I'm recording. This is release candidate 1, so we'll go ahead and use that one. The functionality should be stable as far as what I'm going to demonstrate in this video. So this is the initial Spring Boot project created by the start.spring.io. That's just an interface from IntelliJ that I used to go out to the start.spring.io. I'm going to go ahead and create a new package, call that log stuff. The thing that we want to do is set up a Java class that's going to execute when we start our project. So let's go ahead and call this just simple util. And in this here, we want to annotate it as a component. And we'll use Project Lombok to bring in the logger. And you can see here, I'm just using Copilot to go ahead and generate the different log tags. And we missed trace. Let's go ahead and add trace in there as well. And let's go ahead and run the application to see the log output. And we can see here, this is the default log output that's configured by Spring Boot. So we're using logback. That is the default logger with Spring Boot. And this is how the log output looks right out of the box with Spring Boot. You can see that we are not getting the trace or debug statements. That's because the log level by default is set to info. So it will show info, warn, and error. So let's go ahead and set this up to add in some structured logging. So if we just want to use the default structured logging, so we got logging structured format console. And in this, let's try ECS. So that is one of the supported formats. Let's go ahead and rerun this. And now we can see that the log output is in JSON, and this is following the Elastic Common schema. Now, Spring Boot does support two other formats out of the box. One is Logstash. And if we examine the JSON output of that, it's going to have slightly different properties. You can see here, we now have the Logstash format, or the other one is GELF, which is Graylog extended format. Again, we don't need to add any dependencies to get the structured logging. This is how it works directly out of the box. Now, if we wanted to send the logging to a file, we could add in this property that will enable the GELF output. And you could use different formats, one to the console, one to the file. It really doesn't matter. I don't know why you do that, but you actually could do that if you needed to. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Need the logging output for that. And of course, Spring is offering us some very flexible things that we can do with structure output. If I want to create a completely custom format, let's say I want some key value pairs sent to the log. So I can create a class called key value logger. And this is going to get a type of logging event. I'm sorry, it should be iLogging event. And here we can say return. And there's other properties, but I just want to demonstrate these two. That's going to be fine for our purposes. And the last thing that we need to do is set up this configuration. And I'm just going to grab our package name since that's a little bit long. And if we come back over to our structured logging, if we do a reference to that class, key value logger, like so. Now, if I start our application, you can see here now the log output is going to be in key value pair. So a very simple thing to do as far as that. Now, of course, we do also have JSON support if we wanted to add in a JSON value logger. Again, this is going to implement the structured event logger. This, unfortunately, is not what we want. And here I'm going to create a private property to complete our logging. So we'll say this is final. You can see Copilot guessed wrong on that. In this case, we want to say, and I missed a paren here. Now this should work better. So I'm just going to set the three properties there like so. And now we can say with new line end. And rather than taking this, what we can do here is we can just simply change this. Say return this, write event. And we want to write that to a string, like so. And that'll give us the proper format. Now, you do get a lot of flexibility with this as far as what you can put into it. So you can build really any JSON payload that you need through this technique. And now let's go ahead and rerun this. And we can see that our custom, oh, I forgot one thing. We just need to change this to JSON logger. Again, we're just telling it the class to use. We don't have to bring the class into the Spring context. We just tell that property what class that we want to execute, and that will take care of everything. And now we can see the custom JSON payload that I set up there in the JSON logger. So the structured logging that we have now in Spring Boot 3.4.0 is very, very flexible. And right out of the box, I think most of the time, 3 supported formats are going to be perfect for your use. But if you need to extend that, customize it in some way, you have full capabilities to do so.